Hello, welcome to yet another educational video from IA School of Management Studies. I'm Dr. Dhanya JS, Associate Professor at IASMS. I'm here to share with you an interesting, at the same time an important topic, greeting across cultures. All of us are aware different salutations are used in different parts of the globe, primarily based on the regional language that is widely spoken. In this video, we are going to emphasize on what is the appropriate greeting etiquette. For the purpose of understanding the greeting etiquette in a cross-cultural context, we are going to look at 6 different scenarios. And to understand the scenarios better, students of IA School of Management Studies have been part of video making. Scenario 1, between a German and French. Mont Blanc from France, the person in white shirt. Smith from Germany, the person in blazer. As you see in the photograph, both of them are happy in the initial part of the meeting as they offer hands for handshake. In the second photograph, you can see a displeased Mr. Mont Blanc. Despite being from a country, France, where on a regular basis or on an everyday basis, you're supposed to be shaking hands in a formal setting. Reason being, Smith from Germany felt a firm handshake is important to display confidence, which was misinterpreted as a sign of dominating. So the takeaway here, a firm handshake always may not display confidence. It can be misinterpreted. Moving to scenario 2, an Arab, French and an Indian. Sheikh Al-Qahtani meets Mr. Mont Blanc. Both of them are happy in the initial part of the meeting as they shake hands. And as Sheikh Al-Qahtani moves forward to offer an embrace, Mr. Mont Blanc is offended and pushes away Sheikh Al-Qahtani. In the later part of the photograph, you find Mr. Vijay from India quite comfortable with the greeting, the embrace gesture of Sheikh Al-Qahtani. This is because he is already acquainted with a lot of fellow Muslims from his country offering embrace as a greeting gesture. So whether an embrace is appropriate or not, based on what country an individual belongs to, we need to look into it. That is the second takeaway. Now moving to scenario 3, an Indian and a Chinese. Suhas from India is meeting Mr. Kang on an important business deal. Both of them greet each other with a pleasant smile. Suhas has not traveled anywhere abroad, but then he has heard an eye contact is important because otherwise it is considered a lack of trustworthiness. So he looks at Mr. Kang intently in the eye. Mr. Kang, as you see in the second photograph, is totally displeased and the business deal was lost. Now, reason being, countries like China, Japan, they do not appreciate being stared at, or somebody looking intently to the eyes is not considered appropriate. In countries like Japan and China, while for an interviewee, you would find them looking down as a sign of respect towards the interview panel. Unlike in India, where we are trained, eye contact throughout the interview process is very important. Moving to scenario 4, between an Indian and a French, Mr. Vikas, who moves to Paris on an on-site assignment, meets an elegant lady at his Paris office on the first day. He greets her with a handshake and she reciprocates. Pleasant. She's very pleasant with him initially. But as he tries to hug her, she reprimands him and moves away angrily. Now, Mr. Vikas had seen in a lot of French movies that French greet each other by hugging. But then what he didn't know was it is allowed only in an informal setting. not in a formal workplace. So learning about cross-cultural differences from a movie may not be appropriate. Moving to scenario 5, between a Brazilian and an Indian. Mr. Dinesh from India was looking forward to an R&D assignment in Brazil where he was partnered with Mr. Pedro. So this was an assignment he was eagerly looking forward to. But after a couple of meetings with Mr. Pedro, he puts forward a request to his organization to remove his name from the R&D team. Now the reason being, Mr. Pedro, being a Brazilian, has the habit of moving close to an individual irrespective of whether he is meeting him for the first time. So that is part of Brazilian culture where not much of a distance is maintained. And Mr. Dinesh being an Indian where we have specific distances which are set aside for the professional sphere, social sphere and the personal sphere was uncomfortable with this. So that is another takeaway from scenario 5. Moving on to the last scenario, scenario 6 between an American and an Indian. Ms. Olivia is posted on an on-site assignment in Bangalore, India, and she is not able to get along well with the Indian team except with Mr. Sandeep, who is a very friendly and an empathetic individual. And once she was having an important meeting with the vice president of the organization, so she had a quick lunch and was about to leave when she will meet Mr. Sandeep and casually ask him whether he has had lunch. But then he goes on to elaborate that he couldn't bring lunch because his mother was unwell, and he started offering details about the nature of her ailment. As you can see in the photograph, Miss Olivia was getting late and she was constantly looking onto her watch. But then Sandeep failed to pick up the cue, and you can see a disinterested Olivia in the first photograph while Sandeep is narrating. And the second photograph you find in the slide is Mr. Sandeep, who is trying to join Olivia the next day of the meeting for lunch. But as soon as Sandeep sits down along with Olivia, Olivia gets up and walks away. Now here the problem is Olivia, being from an American, is part of monochromic culture, and they believe or attach a lot of importance to punctuality. She got late for the meeting the previous day, and she is also an American who believes in specific culture where the professional and personal sphere is kept separate. Unlike in India, where to get a good rapport or to develop a good relationship with colleagues, family matters are also discussed. Some inquiries or queries regarding family is also made because we in India have diffuse culture. So these are some of the major takeaways with respect to greeting etiquettes based on the 6 scenarios. Any doubt further? Do not hesitate to write back to me at danya@iasms.edu.in. I would be happy to help with any queries related to cross-cultural communication. So let me share the cards. As I mentioned in the initial part of the video, students of IA School of Management Studies have been part of video making. Thank you for watching.